Enemies to lovers? Check. Fake dating? Check. A sad hot guy with trauma? Check. Great. Now tell me what your book's actually about. So unfortunately, we are in an era where writers are being told to package their stories before they've ever written them. You know, we want to chase trends and market the vibe and design a book that we know is gonna go viral before we ever actually know why we're writing it. And I do get the temptation, you want your book to succeed, you want it to reach people. But writing for the algorithm is just not the same as writing a good book. In fact, writing to go viral might actually be the thing that's holding your book back. In this video, I want to talk about the dangers of chasing tropes without purpose, the myth of marketing first storytelling, and what actually makes readers fall in love with your work. Because if you want to build a writing career that lasts longer than a TikTok trend, you might want to stop writing for virality and start writing with meaning. So let me just put one thing out there before we start with this, and that is I am not anti-trope. Tropes are writing tools that you can use. They are patterns that work for a reason. And if you actually use these tropes with intention and you let them, kind of develop naturally throughout your project, then they can be super powerful. They can become basically a vehicle that drives real tension and real emotion and real meaning behind your story. But lately, tropes have kind of become the point of a book rather than the vehicle or the tool. So books have become kind of like actual products that are made just to satisfy consumer demand quickly without sparing thought to the actual product itself and the quality that we're putting out. That's exactly why people compare it to fast fashion, because it jumps on trends and its main purpose is to, sell as quickly and as cheaply as possible. And it doesn't matter that the fabric is going to start disintegrating after 20 washes, because you'll just move on to buying the next low quality piece of clothing that you will probably forget about and throw out in a few months. So nowadays, you literally have writers just building an entire book around the trope that they know will sell without actually asking whether that trope fits into their story. They don't actually evaluate if the trope fits the characters, or God forbid, if the story actually serves a deeper purpose. Because it sells is not a compelling reason, at least in my opinion. And that is where the problem starts. So a book that is built to go viral basically just kind of reads like a checklist. The morally gray interest, the one-bed trope, sad girl with a knife, and then you throw in some line about how he saw her before she saw herself. Have you read any books like this recently? Let me know in the comments, because I want to see if you guys are also clocking the recipes for these. So these books that are trying to be viral will often feel just like a bunch of aesthetics and tropes and regurgitated moments, and they're probably held together by vibes rather than actual story logic. But, and I say this all the time, a truly great book is not going to be great because of what happens in it. It's going to be great because of why that matters. If there's no deeper reason for why the things in your book happen, it's likely going to fall flat. If your story exists only to serve the trope, it's going to fall flat. And don't get me wrong, people will still read books like these 100%. I can admit that, it's the truth. They might even recommend them to a friend. But they're also not going to remember them in 5 years. They're not going to carry it with them, because it was just never that deep to begin with. And I think probably the more important part is that you will also know that, it wasn't your best work anyway. So I don't think enough writers actually ask themselves this, but what do readers actually remember about the books that they adore, that they can't stop talking about, that they're gonna remember forever? It's not gonna be the aesthetics or the tropes or the viral hook. It's gonna probably be the characters that they love, or a line that made them feel seen in a way that they didn't know they needed to be seen in. And that's what sticks. That's usually what people take with them, not the hook, but the heart. And yes, tropes can contribute to those moments. A one-bed scene can be iconic if it reveals emotional vulnerability and complex character conversations. But if the only reason that that scene exists is to tick off the trope box, it's not gonna hit. It might go viral on TikTok for a hot second, but it's not going to live in someone's chest. And it definitely won't become their favorite book, because your readers don't actually want a checklist. They think they do, but they really want to actually feel something when they read your book. They want to be moved, and they want to believe that the story that they're reading could not have been told in any other way than it actually was. And here's a little business trick that I want to share with you today that actually might help you understand what I'm talking about. Because I know a lot of people will be like, nah, that's not true. The readers want the tropes. They want the sexy villain. They want the morally great characters. Blah, blah, blah. Yes, they do. They do want those things. But you need to know the difference between what your readers think they want versus what they actually need. Yes, this is a business concept, and it is usually what differentiates businesses with longevity, who have customer trust, from those businesses that are basically just kind of constantly shouting at you to buy their stuff and trying to grab your money. So let me explain. When you as a business owner break down your ideal client, you make your content strategy, these are the things that you want to assess. So you want to ask, what problem does my ideal customer have and how can I solve that? You know, for a writer, this would be giving them the book that they want to read. You can ask, what are they afraid of? What are their goals and problems? Then you ask, what do they think they want? What are they searching up on Google to find an answer to? And then the last question, which in my opinion is probably the most important one if you actually want to be good at what you do, is what do they not know that they actually need? What can I teach them about? What can I show them to enlighten them and actually genuinely help them? These are usually the questions that your audience, your ideal client or your ideal reader isn't consciously asking because nobody has ever challenged them to think about it. And the strategy here is to use the thing that they think they want to attract them to your platform. And then once they're there, you give them the thing that they actually needed all along to gain their trust. Like, for example, when I first sold my courses or my coaching program, the selling point was finish your first draft, because I know that that's what most writers want. I know that that's their biggest struggle. But as an expert who's worked with other writers, I know that what they actually need is to understand why they get stuck. I want them to get clarity on why they're actually writing this project and how they can rebuild their relationship with writing into something positive and happy again. And all of this is inevitably going to help them finish that first draft, which is why they were attracted to the offer in the first place. But it's also going to help them in a fundamental and personal way, in a way that they understand themselves a little bit more deeply, and ultimately they trust the person that taught them this because they didn't know it themselves. And you can very easily apply this concept to yourself as an author. You know that your readers are gonna want a particular character archetype or trope to read about. Then you can include all of that in your marketing, but then write the novel that actually resonates. You want to create characters that go beyond their archetype. You can use the archetype, but you can go deeper and create more complex characters. You can work from a strong story message that's going to challenge your readers. Because when they actually pick up your book, they might be in it for the tropes or the thing that they thought that they needed. But once they read it, they will realize that this is the kind of book that they always needed. And this is where quality trumps quantity, and you start to build that unshakable fan base of readers. And it's because you have actually taught them something that they didn't know, or you showed them something about their lives and you challenged them and you gave them what they always needed but didn't know. So start with your characters, not the trend. Start with a question that you're trying to explore, not the marketing angle. Start with a feeling that you're trying to evoke, not with a reader that you're trying to impress. Because books that change people's lives are written from honesty and from heart and from that deep place within us that has always wanted to say something and now finally has the chance to. Those kind of books that stick with us basically come from a writer sitting down and saying, okay, this is what I want to look at. This is what I want to write about, even if it is messy, even if it's not made for a viral recipe, and even if it doesn't fit a checklist. But it's what I want, it's what I feel inside. And of course, you don't have to reject marketing, and you don't have to, write some kind of impossible literary masterpiece to count. That's not what I'm saying at all. I work with a ton of projects as an editor, which are kind of traditionally marketable, but there's always an angle to make that story more quality, to make it more deep, to make it more interesting, and to make it a little bit different and challenging for the readers that are eventually going to pick up those novels, because they do have that marketing in and that hook and that angle to grab your readers in. That's how you write a book that can go viral and also feel good. That's the kind of book that's gonna make somebody say, this is the book that I didn't know I needed, but now I can't stop thinking about it and I will never stop talking about it. And when you can do that, you're gonna know that you're building something that's gonna last. And more importantly, you're gonna be building that longevity. You're gonna be writing the kinds of books that turn people from just casual buyers and casual readers into fans and followers who will literally need to read every single thing that you have to say. So if this hit a nerve and you disagree, that's okay. You can drop a comment down below and tell me what you think. Give me your opinion. Just make sure it's actually your own opinion and not something that you absorbed, you know, from discourse on threads or something like that. But if you're sitting here and thinking, yeah, that actually resonates, I kind of agree with that, and I think I'm, you know, ready to write something that matters, then I think it means, you know, you're ready to start working from the heart. That's exactly why I started a new YouTube series called Back to Basics, but better, because I think a lot of writing advice out there has lost the plot. Literally. The first couple of videos are already up and they're all about how to start and plan a novel from a place of real meaning rather than marketing. So if you're not sure what to write next or how to find that core idea behind your book, this is a really good place to start. Especially if you want to be part of this trend that I'm promoting about, you know, bringing quality and meaning back into writing. It's only going to change if we make the change happen. If you've got any ideas for anything else that you want me to cover in the Back to Basics series, you can just drop it in the comments below. I'm always kind of creeping on those. And if you want support as you go, you know, writing advice, writing prompts, the occasional soft kick in the butt, you can join my newsletter. It is totally free and it is where I share my deepest, most unhinged thoughts and also my best writing advice. The link is always down in the description box. But until next time, trust your heart and the words will come.